have you ever dreamed of waking up rich, not just comfortable, but truly free? The kind of freedom that wipes away every bill, every worry, every maybe someday. For a few people, that dream arrives overnight, but what happens next is rarely what they imagined. The dream of sudden wealth is woven deeply into the fabric of human imagination. We see it in bedtime stories about magic coins, in movies where a simple person discovers buried treasure, and in the way people whisper about winning numbers as they stand in line at a grocery store. The idea of going from modest means to unimagined abundance in one moment tugs at a feeling in the heart that has little to do with greed. It speaks to hope. The quiet belief that life could be lighter, that struggle could turn to ease. Picture it, a quiet living room late at night, a family gathered around the glow of a television, the air still with anticipation. Hands hold mugs of tea, children peer curiously at the screen, and for a few minutes the world feels suspended. The winning numbers are called. One by one they match the ticket in hand. There's a gasp, a laugh, a stunned silence. For that fleeting moment, time seems to stop, the weight of the past dissolving into possibility. But that moment, as powerful as it is only the beginning. After the cameras leave and the confetti settles, the story takes a quieter, more complicated turn. The sudden arrival of wealth brings questions most people never prepare to face. How do you manage newfound money? Who do you tell? Can relationships stay the same when everything else changes overnight? In the journey ahead, we'll go beyond the headlines and the headline silence, into the human side of fortune. We'll explore the emotional, psychological, and social ripples of sudden wealth, uncovering lessons not just about money, but about ourselves. This isn't a story about chasing riches or judging those who find them. It's about understanding what happens when one dream comes true, and how that moment tests everything we think we know about happiness, security, and identity. So stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you might not look at money, or your own idea of success, the same way again. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's walk together through the stories that reveal not just how fortunes are made, but how they reshape the human heart. And it all begins with a single moment, the quiet click of a TV, the numbers on a screen, and a life about to change forever. Chapter 1: The Moment of Fortune. Late in the evening when the world is quiet, a lone light glows in a small kitchen. The sound of a ticking clock fills the room, and a kettle whistles softly on the stove. At the table sits a woman with a lottery ticket held gently between her fingers. Her hands are rough from years of work, and her eyes show both fatigue and determination. This weekly ticket has always been a tiny ritual, a nod to possibility amid the routine of paychecks that barely cover expenses. She has never truly expected her numbers to match, yet the ritual gave her comfort, a few minutes of daydreaming when she imagined paying off the mortgage or sending her son to university. On this night, the numbers align with a precision that takes her breath away. She watches the television in disbelief as each digit appears, matching one after another. Her heart beats fast and tears come unbidden. She calls out to her family, and soon the room is filled with an electric energy that seems to hum in the air. Laughter, sobs, and hushed exclamations mingle. In those moments she feels as if the universe has opened a door. The days that follow are a blur. Friends and neighbors bring congratulations. Reporters call to ask how she feels. Her children dance around the living room, imagining new toys and trips to faraway places. There are practical questions, too, about taxes and how to claim the prize. A visit to the lottery office brings a whirlwind of paperwork, photographs, and instructions. She signs forms with hands that shake and smiles for cameras while feeling a surreal numbness. The world seems to be watching her, yet she feels both exposed and alone. Late at night, when the house is quiet, she sits at the kitchen table and stares at the winning ticket lying next to a stack of bills. The joy of the win mixes with a hint of fear. There is a sense that life has split in two, before and after. She wonders whether she will wake from a dream, and if not, what comes next. This chapter begins with a single person's experience, but it reflects a universal human reaction to unexpected luck. The initial rush of emotions often includes shock, disbelief, laughter, tears, and an overwhelming sense of relief. People describe their thoughts racing with possibilities: paying off debts, buying homes, helping family. They recall physical sensations like trembling hands or a pounding heart. These feelings are natural, and they show how deeply the hope of financial ease is tied to the human experience of stress and security. For many who have lived with constant worry about bills and job security, sudden wealth represents a lifting of a heavy burden. It feels like stepping from a narrow path onto an open field. The moment of fortune also sparks a cascade of social interactions. Family members may express delight, and friends may offer congratulations. Strangers might reach out with kindness or curiosity. With these interactions come questions: who should be told and who should be kept in the dark? Some winners choose to remain anonymous, wanting to protect privacy and avoid attention. Others share the news openly, seeking joy in celebration. The choice often reflects personality and cultural norms, but it also hints at an underlying fear of how others will react. Will relationships remain the same? Will people expect gifts or handouts? Will jealousy cause tension? Early decisions about who knows and how the news spreads can shape the entire experience of sudden wealth. In the weeks after her win, she notices small changes in everyday life. She goes to the grocery store and realizes she can place items in her cart without calculating prices, yet she still scans the sale tags out of habit. At her workplace, coworkers hug her and tease about retirement, but she senses envy in some eyes. People she hasn't spoken to in years send messages with congratulations and veiled requests. The familiar rhythm of her days shifts as meetings with lawyers and financial advisors fill her calendar. She sits in her bedroom at night, listening to the soft breathing of her children, and feels both gratitude and apprehension. She remembers the nights she lay awake counting coins for bus fare, and the contrast is almost dizzying. Questions crowd her mind. Should she quit her job? How will this money change her children's lives? What will her parents say? These quiet reflections reveal that the heart of the experience is not only the thrill of winning, but also the quiet, ongoing adjustment to a new reality. In this chapter, we see how sudden wealth can be both exhilarating and unsettling. The image of a person holding a winning ticket under a dim light is a microcosm of larger themes. It embodies hope, surprise, joy, fear, and the beginning of change. It reminds us that money is not just a number on a bank statement. It is tied to emotions, relationships, and personal identity. As we move into the next chapter, we will explore the myths that often surround sudden wealth. Are winners truly cursed, as some stories claim, or is there more nuance to the outcomes? Understanding the myths and the realities behind them helps us approach the subject with empathy and curiosity rather than judgment. Her story reminds us that adjustment is a journey. She also notices the way ordinary moments take on new weight. The smell of morning coffee reminds her of nights spent calculating every penny, and she wonders how those memories will change. The neighborhood she has always known looks different to her now. She walks past the corner store and feels a mixture of nostalgia and distance. A friend jokes about her new fortune, but she senses curiosity behind the smile. In these small interactions, she realizes that sudden wealth is not a single event, but a long unfolding, a series of subtle adjustments that shape her sense of home and self. Chapter 2: Debunking the Curse, Myth versus Reality. A popular story circulates around dinner tables and in headlines, the idea that lottery winners are cursed. According to this myth, winners almost always end up broke and miserable, wishing they had never bought the ticket. People share tales of winners who lost everything in a few years, who faced tragic ends, or who found that money destroyed their families. These cautionary tales have the power of folk legends. They are retold with a shake of the head and a tone of inevitability, as if the outcome is predetermined. The narrative is simple and satisfying. Easy money brings trouble, and the universe punishes those who receive more than they deserve. Yet, like many myths, this one is built on a handful of dramatic examples and repeated without question. The reality is more complex. Studies of lottery winners show that outcomes vary widely. Many winners do not go bankrupt or descend into misery. Some go on living relatively quiet lives, pay off debts, buy modest homes, and invest their money carefully. Others do face difficulties, but the reasons are often rooted in human psychology and social dynamics rather than a supernatural curse. When researchers look at large groups of winners over time, they find that most people still have some of their winnings years later. A small percentage file for bankruptcy, but the majority do not. This does not mean the myth is meaningless. The high-profile stories of loss and tragedy are real and carry lessons. They show what can happen when people are unprepared for sudden wealth. They also reveal how social pressure, lack of financial knowledge, and personal habits can combine to create trouble. Why does the myth of the curse persist? One reason is that negative stories capture attention. Human beings are drawn to drama, and cautionary tales stick in memory. Hearing about someone who wins millions and then loses it all may make people feel better about their own financial struggles. It supports a belief that hard work is the only acceptable way to gain wealth, and it reinforces moral lessons about the dangers of greed and excess. The myth also serves as a comfort to those who have not won. It suggests that missing out on a jackpot might be a blessing in disguise. These emotional underpinnings make the myth hard to dispel, even when factual evidence points elsewhere. Another factor is the way the media often frames stories. Headlines highlight spectacular failures because they make compelling reading. A winner who quietly invests and continues working does not create sensational news. In addition, some statistics have been misquoted or taken out of context. For example, a widely repeated claim that most winners go bankrupt within a few years has been traced back to an unverified figure. When this figure is passed from article to article without scrutiny, it takes on a life of its own. This shows the importance of checking sources and understanding how data is used. While it is true that some winners face financial ruin, it is not a universal fate. Stories about the misfortune of lottery winners have roots in older cautionary tales about fortune in many cultures. There are parables of fishermen who squander magical gifts and fables of villagers who find gold only to meet misfortune. These stories often serve to reinforce moral lessons about humility and the dangers of greed. They echo the belief that unearned wealth disrupts the natural order. It is important to see how these narratives influence modern perceptions. When someone repeats the story of a winner who died young or lost everything, it often carries an implicit warning: do not wish for too much. This moral lens shapes our understanding of real events, sometimes causing us to see patterns where there are none. Psychologists also note that humans have a negativity bias. We pay more attention to negative events than positive ones, as a survival mechanism. This means the news of a winner going broke sticks in our minds more readily than the quiet contentment of someone who remains secure. Confirmation bias adds another layer. When we believe that sudden wealth is harmful, we notice evidence that supports this belief and overlook evidence that contradicts it. Recognizing these biases does not diminish the real suffering of people who struggle after a windfall. Instead, it invites us to approach each story with curiosity rather than certainty. By listening to a range of experiences, we can understand the factors that lead to different outcomes and avoid the simplistic conclusion that fortune is inherently cursed. The myth of the curse can also affect how winners see themselves. If a new millionaire has heard only negative stories, they may feel anxious and guilty instead of joyful. They might worry that people will judge them or that they are destined to fail. This fear can become a self-fulfilling prophecy if it leads to poor decisions or avoidance. Conversely, understanding that there is no inevitable curse allows winners to approach their situation with a more balanced perspective. They can recognize both the opportunities and the risks and make plans accordingly. In this chapter, we have unpacked the difference between myth and reality. We have seen that dramatic stories, cultural beliefs, and media coverage create a narrative of the cursed winner that does not reflect the experiences of all. Recognizing this helps us move beyond simplistic judgments. Instead of seeing winners as doomed, we can view them as individuals facing a unique set of challenges and choices. As we proceed to the next chapter, we will delve into the psychological condition sometimes called sudden wealth syndrome. This exploration will reveal why sudden riches can be psychologically disorienting, and how understanding this condition can help winners and their communities navigate the changes ahead. When we hear stories of winners who struggle, it is natural to feel a mix of empathy and judgment. Yet every person enters the experience of sudden wealth with a different history, support system, and skill set. Some have access to mentors and education. Others face pressure and isolation. Recognizing this diversity prevents us from making sweeping generalizations. It invites us to ask what conditions enable people to thrive, and how society can provide those conditions more broadly. Instead of repeating myths, we can contribute to a more nuanced conversation about wealth, responsibility, and compassion. Chapter 3: Sudden Wealth Syndrome. Understanding the Condition. Imagine inheriting a treasure chest filled with gold coins. At first, you are thrilled and thankful. but as you carry it home, the chest feels heavy, your hands become sweaty, and you glance over your shoulder, fearing that someone might follow you. When you place it in your living room, you cannot help but worry about thieves and accidents. You hear creaks at night and startle at shadows. The treasure that once seemed like pure good fortune begins to feel like a burden. This image captures a sensation many people feel when wealth arrives suddenly. What initially appears as a blessing can bring anxiety, guilt, or fear. Psychologists sometimes refer to this cluster of feelings as sudden wealth syndrome. It is not an official medical diagnosis, but it is a useful term for understanding how drastic changes in financial status can disrupt a person's emotional equilibrium. Sudden wealth syndrome encompasses a range of emotional responses that may include euphoria, confusion, guilt, paranoia, isolation, and fear of losing the money. The euphoria is easy to understand. People feel an immediate rush of excitement and relief. Debts can be paid, dreams can be realized, and the daily grind can be escaped. Alongside this excitement, many winners also experience confusion and overwhelm. Imagine being handed a complex tool without any instructions. You would feel uncertain about how to use it and worry about breaking it. Money is a tool for achieving goals and securing needs, but if you have never learned how to manage large sums, you may not know where to begin. This uncertainty can lead to paralysis or impulsive decisions. Guilt is another common emotion. People who have lived modestly might feel that they do not deserve their windfall. They may think of friends and family who struggle and worry that their good fortune will cause resentment. This guilt can lead them to give away money excessively or to sabotage their own success. At the same time, fear of being exploited can breed paranoia. Winners often become targets for scams, unwanted solicitations, or manipulative relationships. Knowing this can create a sense of distrust. Winners may find themselves questioning the motives of those around them and becoming suspicious of genuine kindness. This distrust can lead to isolation as winners pull away from friends and community, retreating into their own world to protect themselves. The identity crisis that comes with sudden wealth can be profound. When your bank account changes overnight, your sense of who you are may be challenged. Are you still the same person you were before? Will others see you differently? If you have defined yourself by hard work, resilience, or a specific profession, a sudden change in circumstances can feel like a threat to your identity. Some winners feel pressure to abandon the parts of their lives they once valued, such as their job or community, because they think wealth makes these commitments unnecessary. Others feel unsure about how to behave. Should they act like a rich person now? What does that even mean? This inner conflict can be unsettling, and without support it can lead to risky behavior or withdrawal. Understanding sudden wealth syndrome is not about pathologizing winners or implying that wealth is inherently harmful. Rather, it provides a framework for empathy. People who experience these emotions are not weak or ungrateful. They are facing a situation that their minds and social networks were not prepared for. Support from counselors, financial advisors, and trusted friends can help them process emotions and make thoughtful decisions. Recognizing that these feelings are common can reduce shame. There is comfort in knowing that others have navigated similar waters and emerged with stability and peace. The ripple effects of sudden wealth syndrome extend beyond the individual to their family and social circles. Children of winners may feel the pressure of expectations or uncertainty about their own identity. They might struggle with comments from peers at school who view them through the lens of money rather than personality. Spouses may have differing views on how to use the funds, creating tension in marriages. Some couples find that decisions about spending and giving bring underlying issues to the surface, forcing conversations they have avoided. Friends might feel left behind, leading to misunderstandings and distance. These interpersonal dynamics can magnify the internal stress of the winner. When people talk about paranoia and isolation following a windfall, they often refer not just to fear of strangers, but to shifts in close relationships. Professional support can mitigate these challenges. Financial therapists specialize in helping people navigate the emotional aspects of money. They provide space to talk about guilt, fear, and identity without judgment. Support groups where winners share experiences can also provide relief. Knowing that others have felt similar turmoil normalizes the experience and reduces shame. In some cases, winners find it useful to develop communication guidelines with family and friends, for example, setting aside regular times to discuss financial matters and using neutral language to explore different viewpoints. These strategies do not eliminate sudden wealth syndrome, but they offer tools to navigate it. By acknowledging the emotional landscape and seeking support, winners can move through the turbulence rather than being swept away by it. As we conclude this chapter, we see that sudden wealth syndrome is a multifaceted response to dramatic change. Euphoria sits alongside anxiety, gratitude mingles with guilt. The condition reminds us that human psychology does not always align with our logical expectations. We might assume that money solves all problems, but the reality is more nuanced. By appreciating this complexity, we can create space for compassion and support. In the next chapter, we will explore how the initial euphoria can transform into a lifestyle of excess, and how the choices made in the early days of wealth can set the tone for years to come. This exploration will highlight the importance of awareness and patience when integrating newfound resources into everyday life. Navigating sudden wealth syndrome often requires patience. Healing does not happen overnight, and new patterns take time to form. Giving oneself permission to feel confused or overwhelmed can be a powerful step. By honoring the process instead of rushing to appear in control, winners allow space for authentic adjustment. Chapter 4: Euphoria Turned Excess, From Dream to Lifestyle. Picture a young man driving his car into the driveway of a small house where he has lived his entire life. The front porch sags a little, the paint is faded, but it feels familiar and safe. After receiving a large financial windfall, he imagines replacing the house with a grand one. The idea begins as a pleasant daydream, then grows into a plan. Soon he is visiting luxury showrooms and browsing glossy magazines. The thrill of choosing new things is intoxicating. Cars with leather seats, designer clothes, high-tech gadgets, each purchase gives him a rush. The careful budget that once governed his spending fades into the background. The numbers in his bank account seem so large that he assumes they will never run out. He is not reckless out of malice or arrogance. He simply believes, as many do, that more is better, and that the joy he feels now will last. This shift from euphoria to excess is common when wealth arrives suddenly. People who have long suppressed desires often indulge them quickly. They may buy multiple cars, purchase large homes, travel extensively, or give lavish gifts. There is a sense of making up for lost time, of rewarding oneself for years of constraint. This can be deeply satisfying, and there is nothing inherently wrong with enjoying new experiences or comforts. The challenge arises when spending decisions are made without consideration for the future. Large purchases and generous gifts add up fast. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, and other costs can erode the principal. The numbers that once seemed inexhaustible begin to shrink. Another element of excess is lifestyle inflation. A person may start with a few big purchases, then feel compelled to maintain a certain image. Invitations to fancy events, pressure to dress a certain way, or expectations from new social circles can push spending higher. When you buy an expensive home, you may feel you need to furnish it with equally costly items. When you travel first class once, coach seats may feel less appealing. Without a clear plan, the baseline for what feels normal rises, and returning to previous habits becomes difficult. This phenomenon is not unique to lottery winners. Many people experience it when they receive raises or promotions. The difference is magnitude. Sudden wealth provides the means to inflate lifestyle dramatically in a short time. In some cases, the desire to share the joy of newfound wealth prompts generous giving that inadvertently fuels excess. A person may decide to treat an entire extended family to a tropical vacation, covering airfare, hotels, and excursions. The trip creates cherished memories, but it also sets an expectation that such generosity will continue. When the person later hesitates to pay for another trip, relatives may express disappointment or resentment. Similarly, winners often feel pressure to fund large celebrations to mark their success. Throwing lavish parties becomes a way to validate the worth of their windfall, but it can also create social obligations and financial drains. Buying a large home may seem sensible for comfort and privacy, but the upkeep, property taxes, maintenance, staff may be higher than expected. Without careful planning, generosity and celebration can unintentionally erode the principle. Another aspect of excess involves hobbies and interests. Suddenly, it becomes possible to pursue every interest at once. A person who enjoys photography might buy the most expensive cameras and lenses without taking time to learn how to use them. Someone who loves cooking might outfit a kitchen with professional-grade appliances but rarely cook. Collectors may acquire valuable items because they can, not because they value them. This pattern reflects an underlying yearning to fill a void or to express a new identity through possessions. When the initial excitement wanes, many discover that they do not feel more fulfilled. Recognizing these tendencies can help winners pause and ask whether a purchase is truly meaningful or simply a response to the thrill of being able to acquire it. The emotional component of excess deserves attention. Shopping and spending can provide an immediate sense of control and happiness. For someone who has lived with scarcity, the ability to say yes to everything can feel liberating. But this high is temporary. Like any thrill, it can fade, leading to a craving for more. Some winners describe feeling an emptiness after the initial spending spree. They realize that possessions do not fill deeper needs for connection, purpose, or self-worth. Yet by the time this realization dawns, they may have committed to expensive obligations, loans, mortgages, or annual feasts that require ongoing payments. This can create stress and regret. Communities and social circles influence spending behavior. If a winner announces their fortune and receives many requests for money, they may feel social pressure to give. When friends or extended family see a new car or house, they might assume that the winner can afford anything. This perception can lead to subtle or overt demands. The winner may find it difficult to say no, especially if they feel guilty about their wealth. Giving becomes a way of seeking acceptance or appeasing others. While generosity is admirable, giving without boundaries can deplete resources quickly. Learning to say no kindly, but firmly, is a skill that many winners must develop to avoid financial strain. As we reflect on this chapter, we see that the transition from euphoria to excess is not inevitable, but it is a pattern that many follow when they do not pause to plan. Recognizing the allure of spending and the social dynamics that fuel it can help winners make more conscious choices. Enjoying some luxuries is natural, but setting limits and seeking advice can protect the future. In the next chapter, we will look at how relationships change when wealth enters the picture. The way family, friends, and community respond to sudden riches can be supportive, complicated, or damaging. Understanding these dynamics is key to maintaining connections and well-being. Learning to differentiate between desires and needs can offer guidance. Taking time to consider whether a purchase aligns with personal values, whether it brings lasting joy, and whether it fits into a plan helps temper impulses. Some winners find it helpful to write down goals and review them before making big decisions. This simple practice creates a pause between impulse and action, preserving the joy of spending while protecting the future. Chapter 5: Changed Relationships, Friends, Family, and Social Pressure. Imagine a neighborhood block party on a warm summer evening. Children run through sprinklers, neighbors gather around folding tables laden with food, and conversations drift with the breeze. At one table sits a couple who recently came into a large sum of money. Before the windfall, they were known for hosting potlucks and lending tools to friends. Now their home has been renovated, and they drive a new car. As neighbors approach to chat, the couple notices subtle changes. Comments about the car's price and jokes about big spenders mix with genuine congratulations. Someone asks if they will pay for everyone's vacation next year. Another mentions their own financial struggles in a way that hints at a request. The couple laughs along, but they feel tension. They wonder if their relationships are shifting, and if so, how to navigate it. Sudden wealth can alter social dynamics in ways that are sometimes surprising. Family members who were once close may feel either gratitude or resentment. Some friends may be genuinely happy, while others may become distant or jealous. People who never paid much attention may suddenly reach out, seeking to rekindle connections. The winner might feel both pleased and uneasy. On one hand, they want to share their good fortune. On the other, they fear being seen solely as a source of money. They might question whether new friendships are authentic or opportunistic. This uncertainty can lead to stress and isolation. In some families, wealth becomes a source of conflict. Siblings may argue about inheritance expectations or feel that one person's gain is unfair. Parents may worry that a child will squander the money, or they may pressure them to invest in family businesses. Extended relatives who have never asked for help may hint at needs for medical bills or education. Navigating these requests requires tact and boundaries. Those who give too freely may resent being taken advantage of, while those who refuse may feel guilt. Finding a balance where generosity is tempered by sustainability is challenging. Friendships can also shift. Longtime friends may no longer feel they relate to the winner's lifestyle. They may decline invitations to expensive dinners or trips because they cannot afford them. The winner might sense this discomfort and either pay for every own, risking feelings of inequality, or stop extending invitations. Both choices can create awkwardness. In other cases, friends may expect the winner to cover costs without considering the impact. Social pressure to spend or share can be subtle, such as joking comments or expectant glances. It can also be overt, with friends directly asking for loans or handouts. New relationships often enter the picture. People who previously showed little interest may suddenly seek closeness. Some may be sincere, but others may have hidden motives. Winners have reported receiving messages from strangers claiming to be long-lost relatives or offering business opportunities. Distinguishing genuine connections from exploitation becomes an important skill. Many winners choose to hire gatekeepers, such as attorneys or advisors, to screen requests. This can help protect personal relationships from financial entanglements, but it can also reinforce feelings of distance. Despite these challenges, wealth can also strengthen bonds. Many winners use their resources to help loved ones in meaningful ways, such as paying off a parent's mortgage, funding a sibling's education, or supporting a friend's medical treatment. These acts of generosity can deepen relationships and create shared joy. The key is intentionality. When giving is planned and mutual understanding is clear, it can bring people closer rather than cause strain. Setting clear boundaries and communicating openly about what is possible, what is not, and why helps manage expectations. Romantic relationships can be particularly affected by sudden wealth. Couples who have built a partnership on shared struggle may find that wealth disrupts the balance. One partner might want to quit work and travel, while the other prefers to continue working. Decisions about joint versus separate accounts, family planning, and spending priorities can become sources of friction. In some cases, new wealth attracts attention from outsiders seeking romantic involvement, testing the trust between partners. For individuals who are single when they win, dating becomes more complicated. They may wonder if potential partners are drawn to them or to their money. These concerns can make it hard to form genuine connections, leading some winners to delay or avoid relationships altogether. Relationships with children also change. Parents may feel an urge to give their children everything they never had. They might buy costly toys, enroll them in expensive schools, or cover all their expenses well into adulthood. While these acts come from love, they can impact a child's ability to develop independence and financial literacy. Children may struggle to set boundaries, manage expectations from peers, or understand the value of money. Setting clear guidelines such as requiring children to save or to contribute to charitable projects helps maintain balance. Including children in conversations about money can also teach them about responsibility and gratitude. By addressing these dynamics openly, families can support each other through the transition. This chapter shows that relationships are deeply intertwined with money, especially when financial circumstances change drastically. Feelings of jealousy, gratitude, entitlement, or guilt can surface, and each person's response may be different. Navigating these dynamics requires empathy and self-awareness. It involves listening to others while also honoring one's own needs and limits. In the next chapter, we will examine the inner landscape of guilt, worthiness, and self-sabotage. The emotional reactions to wealth are not only shaped by external relationships, but also by internal beliefs about what we deserve and how we value ourselves. Taking the time to listen, laugh, and remember shared histories helps anchor relationships beyond financial changes. Friendships that endure after a windfall often rest on shared experiences that transcend money. Cooking together, attending a child's soccer game, or helping a neighbor repair a fence are acts of companionship that remind everyone of their common humanity. Investing time in these simple interactions reinforces bonds and demonstrates that wealth has not eclipsed other values. It offers reassurance that while circumstances have changed, the core of the relationship remains. Chapter 6: Guilt, Worthiness, and Self-Sabotage. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and seeing your reflection wearing clothes you never thought you would own. Your bank account balance has changed dramatically, yet your inner sense of self has not caught up. Questions swirl. Do I deserve this? Will people think I didn't earn it? What if I lose everything? These questions whisper in the mind of many people who suddenly become wealthy. They come from deeply held beliefs about work, value, and fairness. For someone raised to believe that money is earned through long, hard labor, a windfall can feel like cheating. The voice of guilt says that one did not deserve such fortune and must compensate by giving it away or by sabotaging it. Guilt often arises from the contrast between personal gain and the visible suffering of others. People may feel uncomfortable enjoying luxuries, while friends struggle with medical bills or job loss. Cultural or religious teachings may reinforce the idea that wealth should only come through toil, and that unearned riches are tainted. This can lead winners to feel ashamed or anxious about their good fortune. They might hide their wealth, downplay it, or act embarrassed when the topic comes up. In an attempt to alleviate guilt, some give generously without considering the long-term impact on their finances. Others consciously or unconsciously sabotage their wealth by making poor decisions, such as lavish spending, risky investments, or gambling. Feelings of unworthiness can also lead to self-sabotage. If a person believes they are not worthy of wealth, they may act in ways that confirm that belief. They might avoid seeking professional advice, believing they are not competent to manage money. They might surround themselves with people who reinforce negative perceptions, telling them that they are lucky and nothing more. They might also mistrust their ability to make good choices and therefore make impulsive decisions. This can create a cycle in which guilt and fear drive behaviors that lead to financial instability, which then reinforces the belief that they cannot handle wealth. On the other hand, some people respond to guilt by becoming overly controlling. They fear losing money so much that they become rigid, unwilling to spend or share. They may obsess over every financial decision, watching account balances daily and stressing about small market fluctuations. This hypervigilance can be exhausting and can strain relationships if others feel controlled or judged. It can also prevent the winner from enjoying the benefits of their wealth or using it to create positive change. Balance is difficult to find when emotions are strong, and guilt can push people to extremes. The roots of guilt and unworthiness often trace back to messages absorbed in childhood. A person raised to believe that money corrupts may internalize shame when they acquire it. Another who grew up hearing that wealth is a sign of divine favor may feel pressured to prove their virtue. Families may have unspoken rules about what is considered acceptable success, and stepping outside these boundaries can trigger guilt. Community norms also influence feelings. In some cultures, sharing wealth is expected. In others, overt displays of wealth are frowned upon. Winners may find themselves caught between competing expectations, fearing judgment no matter what they do. Addressing these deeply ingrained beliefs requires compassion. It involves recognizing that guilt is a signal, not a verdict. It may indicate a need to align actions with values, to set boundaries, or to seek new narratives about money. Working with counselors who understand the intersection of finances and emotions can be transformative. Practices such as affirmations, gratitude journals, and mindful self-talk can gently replace unhelpful beliefs. Developing self-compassion allows winners to treat themselves with kindness when they stumble. It reminds them that they are learning and growing, not failing. Over time, this inner shift reduces the impulse to sabotage or to give beyond capacity. It opens the possibility of holding wealth with grace. Understanding the roots of guilt and unworthiness can help winners move toward healthier patterns. Many of these feelings stem from stories told in childhood about money and worth. If someone was taught that wealth is greedy or immoral, they may carry that belief into adulthood. Reflecting on these narratives and questioning whether they still serve a purpose can be freeing. Therapy or counseling can provide a safe space to explore these emotions. Talking openly with trusted friends or family members about guilt can also reduce its power. Recognizing that feelings of unworthiness are not facts, but thoughts allows for change. The concept of self-sabotage may sound harsh, but it is a common reaction when people feel uncomfortable with success. It is a way to return to the familiar. If living with limited means was a core part of one's identity, sudden wealth can feel disorienting. Reverting to old habits, such as overspending or underplanning, may feel safe because it is known. Breaking this cycle requires patience and compassion. It involves acknowledging fear and guilt without letting them dictate actions. Creating a support network of professionals, mentors, and peers who have gone through similar experiences can provide guidance and affirmation. As we leave this chapter, we understand that guilt, worthiness, and self-sabotage are deeply human responses to change. They remind us that money is intertwined with beliefs and emotions. By exploring these inner landscapes, we can see how self-perception influences financial behavior. In the next chapter, we will shift focus to external threats and poor decisions that can erode wealth. From investment scams to predatory advisors, there are many pitfalls that winners must navigate. Learning about these traps will equip us to understand how careful planning and vigilance can protect not only finances, but also peace of mind. Open conversations about money within families and communities can normalize the topic and reduce stigma. When people speak honestly about their fears and hopes, they create a space where guilt and shame have less power. forgiving oneself for mistakes made in the early days of wealth is part of moving forward. Most winners have no roadmap, and missteps are inevitable. Self-forgiveness transforms guilt into wisdom, making room for more thoughtful choices. Chapter 7: Poor Decisions and Predatory Traps. Consider the story of a man who receives a windfall and soon hears from a distant cousin he barely knows. The cousin arrives with a business proposal that seems promising: a new restaurant in a prime location. The man, wanting to help family and eager to invest his money, agrees without fully researching the venture. He invests a large sum, only to discover later that the restaurant fails and the money is gone. He feels embarrassed and angry, not only at his cousin, but at himself for being naive. This is one of many examples of how poor decisions and predatory traps can consume sudden wealth. Predatory traps come in many forms. Unscrupulous individuals target winners with schemes that promise high returns or quick profits. These can range from fraudulent investments to simple scams, such as fake charities or deceptive contracts. Winners may also encounter advisors who claim expertise but charge excessive fees or steer clients toward products that benefit the advisor more than the client. The flood of opportunities and requests can be overwhelming, and without knowledge or guidance, it is easy to make decisions that result in losses. Lack of financial literacy contributes to poor decision-making. Many people are not taught how to manage large sums of money. They may not understand basic concepts such as compound interest, risk diversification, or the importance of budgeting. When a windfall appears, they may feel pressured to act quickly, whether to invest, pay off debts, or make purchases. In this rush, they might neglect to seek professional advice or to verify the legitimacy of offers. Even well-intentioned decisions can be flawed if they are based on incomplete information. Emotional factors also play a role. Winners may feel an urge to prove themselves or to make their money grow fast. They may be drawn to high-risk ventures because they want to feel savvy or because they believe they can continue the streak of luck. They may also feel obligated to help friends and family, leading them to co-sign loans or invest in ventures without due diligence. When these decisions go wrong, the consequences extend beyond finances. Relationships can be strained or broken, and trust can erode. Practical steps can reduce vulnerability to poor decisions. Seeking advice from licensed and reputable financial planners, accountants, and attorneys is a start. Choosing professionals who are compensated in transparent ways, such as flat fees or fiduciary structures, can reduce conflicts of interest. Education is equally important. Taking time to learn basic financial skills, understanding tax obligations, and setting clear goals help in making decisions aligned with long-term values. Creating a buffer period before making major choices can also be beneficial. Some winners deposit their money in a secure account and wait several months before spending or investing. This pause allows emotions to settle and provides time to research and plan. Scams often flourish in the shadow of secrecy. Winners may be told by officials to keep their identity hidden to avoid unwanted attention. This secrecy can make them more susceptible to private pitches that seem confidential or exclusive. Fraudsters may present themselves as insiders with access to rare investment opportunities, pressuring the winner to act quickly to avoid missing out. They may use flattery, claiming the winner has a special intuition or calling. Others may prey on fear, suggesting that the money will disappear unless it is invested immediately. Awareness of these tactics is crucial. Legitimate investment opportunities rarely demand instant decisions or discourage second opinions. Gambling is another hazard that can erode wealth. The thrill of winning can create a desire to repeat the feeling. Winners might buy more lottery tickets, visit casinos, or invest in risky markets hoping to multiply their fortune. The odds are often not in their favor, and losses can mount quickly. Psychological factors such as the gambler's fallacious belief that a winning streak will continue can cloud judgment. Recognizing the difference between investing and gambling is essential. Investing involves research, time, and a balanced approach. Gambling relies on chance. Winners benefit from setting clear rules, such as not using winnings for further gambling, and from seeking support if they notice gambling tendencies increasing. Protective measures, including placing a portion of the funds in accounts that require multiple signatures for withdrawal, can also help curb impulsive decisions. Protecting wealth also means setting boundaries with others. It is tempting to help everyone who asks, but doing so without a plan can lead to resentment and financial strain. Setting up a separate fund for charitable giving or family assistance can help manage expectations. Saying no with kindness is a skill that grows easier with practice. It reminds both the giver and the receiver that generosity has limits, and those limits protect everyone involved. As we wrap up this chapter, we see that poor decisions and predatory traps are not inevitable, but they are common enough to warrant caution. By recognizing the emotional drivers of impulsive choices and seeking knowledge and professional support, winners can safeguard their wealth. The next chapter will delve into the experience of isolation and the impact of sudden wealth on mental health. The external dangers we have discussed are only part of the picture. Internal struggles also play a significant role in how people navigate their new reality. Taking things slowly helps build confidence in decisions and reinforces a sense of control. Another safeguard is to start small. Testing an investment with a modest amount before committing larger sums allows winners to observe how it performs and to build confidence gradually. This incremental approach encourages learning and minimizes losses. Patience is a powerful antidote to poor decisions. Allowing time to think, to consult trusted advisors, and to research options reduces the likelihood of falling for scams or succumbing to pressure. It is often helpful to set a waiting period for any large investment or purchase at perhaps a week or a month during which questions can be asked and alternatives considered. This deliberate pace contrasts with the urgency that fraudsters cultivate and reinforces a sense of control. Chapter 8: Isolation, Identity, and Mental Health. Imagine sitting alone in a large, empty house with polished floors and high ceilings. Outside, a manicured lawn stretches to the horizon, yet inside, the rooms echo. The phone rings constantly with calls from people asking for money, yet deep conversations feel scarce. This is a picture some winners describe when they talk about isolation. Before their windfall, they might have lived in a small apartment filled with friends and family. Suddenly, they find themselves in a different environment, physically and emotionally distant from their old community. Isolation can stem from practical and psychological factors. Practically, winners may move to new neighborhoods where they do not know anyone. Their schedules may change, and they may stop working, cutting them off from colleagues. They may travel frequently or take up hobbies that are unfamiliar to their old friends. These changes can leave them feeling unanchored. Psychologically, winners may withdraw because they fear judgment or exploitation. If they worry that people only see them as a wallet, they may choose to keep their distance. This protective instinct is understandable, but it can lead to loneliness. Humans are social creatures, and connection is crucial for mental health. When it is lacking, feelings of sadness, anxiety, and depression can emerge. Identity is another area of upheaval. Many people define themselves by their work, roles in their family, or membership in a community. When sudden wealth alters these roles, a sense of purpose can be lost. A person who takes pride in being a hardworking carpenter may feel aimless if they stop working. A parent who has always struggled to provide may feel confused about how to guide their children when money is no longer an issue. The absence of familiar routines and responsibilities can create a void. Without a clear sense of direction, some may fall into unhealthy patterns, such as substance use, compulsive spending, or reckless behavior. Mental health challenges may also arise from stress. Managing large sums of money, fielding requests, and coping with public attention can be overwhelming. Anxiety about making mistakes, losing money, or being judged by others can keep winners up at night. The constant vigilance required to protect privacy and assets can lead to exhaustion. In addition, the newfound ability to access any experience or substance can be a risk. Some winners describe feeling lost in a sea of choices. Without guidance, they may turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms to manage stress or boredom. Mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and substance use disorders can be exacerbated by sudden wealth. The stress of managing money, the attention from others, and the change in routines can trigger or worsen underlying conditions. For some, the access to unlimited resources makes it easier to obtain substances or to indulge in behaviors that temporarily numb difficult feelings. Without the structure of a job or community, days may feel empty, leading to a sense of purposelessness. Recognizing these risks and seeking professional help early is important. Regular check-ins with a mental health professional, even when one feels stable, can provide ongoing support. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Some winners choose solitude to reflect, rest, or escape attention, and this can be healthy. Loneliness, however, arises when people feel disconnected and unseen. It can lead to sadness and health problems. Counteracting loneliness involves fostering meaningful connections. This might include joining clubs or volunteer groups, reconnecting with old friends, or mentoring others. Sharing skills and experiences can create a sense of belonging. Participating in community events and maintaining routines, such as weekly family dinners or neighborhood gatherings, anchors winners in the social fabric. In this way, they remain part of something larger than themselves, easing the isolation that wealth can bring. Addressing isolation and identity changes requires intentional effort. Maintaining connections with trusted friends and family, continuing community involvement, and pursuing meaningful activities can help. Some winners choose to keep working or to volunteer, not because they need the money, but because it provides structure and purpose. Others join support groups of people who have experienced similar changes, finding solace in shared stories. Professional help is also valuable. Therapists and counselors can provide tools for coping with anxiety, setting boundaries, and exploring identity. Mental health support should be normalized and encouraged, as there is no shame in seeking guidance during a life transition. This chapter illustrates how sudden wealth can affect mental health through isolation and identity disruption. Recognizing these issues is the first step toward healing. With support and deliberate choices, winners can build a life that honors who they are and fosters connection. The next chapter will turn to a broader question that intrigues researchers and the public alike. How does money relate to happiness? By examining findings on happiness and adaptation, we can gain insight into why wealth brings satisfaction for some and disappointment for others. Connecting with pets can also provide comfort and unconditional companionship. Spending time outdoors, whether in a city park or on a hiking trail, offers a natural reset. Nature's rhythms can soothe a restless mind and provide perspective. Breathing fresh air, feeling the earth underfoot, and observing the changing seasons remind us of cycles beyond financial concerns. Engaging with mental health professionals can also provide tools for managing stress, setting boundaries, and developing healthy coping strategies. Therapy offers a confidential space to explore complex emotions, and group sessions connect winners with others facing similar transitions. By embracing these resources, individuals build a network of care that supports long-term well-being. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation, yoga, or simply sitting quietly with one's thoughts, can help winners reconnect with themselves. Journaling about emotions and experiences creates a narrative that brings clarity. Engaging with art, visiting museums, listening to music, or reading poetry can evoke feelings and ideas that words alone cannot express. These creative outlets offer a safe way to process change and to explore identity beyond financial labels. By integrating these practices into daily life, winners cultivate a sanctuary within themselves, a place to return when external circumstances feel chaotic. Chapter 9: Money and Happiness, Research and Hedonic Adaptation. Visualize a child on a seesaw at a playground. At first, the excitement of rising and falling brings squeals of joy. But as the ride continues, the sensation becomes familiar and the thrill diminishes. This simple image helps illustrate a psychological concept known as hedonic adaptation tendency for people to return to a baseline level of happiness after positive or negative changes. When applied to sudden wealth, hedonic adaptation suggests that the initial surge of happiness may fade over time as people get used to their new circumstances. Understanding this concept can shed light on why money brings joy for some, but leaves others surprisingly dissatisfied. Research on the relationship between money and happiness reveals a nuanced picture. Studies show that income can improve life satisfaction up to a point by relieving stress related to basic needs, health, and safety. Beyond meeting essential needs, however, additional money has a diminishing impact on day-to-day happiness. A person who goes from struggling to pay rent to having enough for a comfortable home will experience significant relief and contentment. A person who goes from having one comfortable home to having 3 mansions may not experience a proportional increase in happiness. This does not mean that money is irrelevant. Rather, its role is complex. It can provide comfort, opportunities, and freedom, but it cannot guarantee emotional fulfillment or shield us from all of life's difficulties. Hedonic adaptation plays a significant role in this complexity. When a windfall arrives, people often feel a surge of excitement and gratitude. They may report higher life satisfaction and happiness. However, as days turn into weeks and months, this heightened state becomes normal. The new car, large house, or absence of debt becomes part of the background. The baseline for what feels ordinary shifts upward. The mind adjusts to the new level of comfort, and the emotional high fades. This does not mean that winners are unhappy, but their happiness may return to a level similar to what it was before the win. Some winners interpret this as evidence that money does not matter, while others see it as a sign that they need to pursue different sources of joy. Another factor is the way money intersects with other aspects of life. If wealth is used to create meaningful experiences, such as spending time with loved ones or pursuing passions, it can contribute to sustained well-being. If it is used solely for material acquisitions, the happiness derived may be short-lived. Research shows that spending money on experiences like travel, education, or shared activity tends to yield more lasting joy than spending on things. This is partly because experiences create memories and connections with others, both of which enhance well-being. Personality and values also influence how money affects happiness. Individuals who are already content, grateful, and connected to others may find that money amplifies their existing satisfaction by reducing stress and enabling growth. Those who are unhappy or isolated may find that wealth magnifies their loneliness or anxiety. This does not imply that they are at fault. Rather, it highlights the importance of addressing underlying emotional needs alongside financial changes. Beyond the concept of hedonic adaptation, researchers study the difference between momentary happiness and overall life satisfaction. Momentary happiness is the fleeting joy we feel in response to specific events, like tasting a delicious meal or receiving a gift. Life satisfaction is a broader assessment of how content we are with our lives as a whole. Sudden wealth often spikes both, but the spike may not last. People might experience intense joy when buying a new house but later feel stressed about maintaining it. They might appreciate the ability to travel yet miss the sense of community at home. Recognizing the distinction between these types of happiness can guide choices. It suggests investing in what builds long-term satisfaction, such as relationships, personal growth, and meaningful work rather than chasing short-lived highs. Stories of winners who report lasting happiness often involve using wealth to align more closely with their values. Some use their resources to support causes they believe in, such as education, healthcare, or the arts. Others use their wealth to reduce stress by paying off debt and securing their future, then return to their previous lifestyle with greater peace of mind. Conversely, some winners express disappointment when they realize that money has not filled emotional voids. They find that unresolved family conflicts or personal insecurities remain. These divergent experiences highlight the importance of addressing emotional needs alongside financial ones. Money is a tool that can either enable a life of greater purpose and connection or amplify existing dissatisfaction. Being aware of this empowers people to make choices that lead to deeper contentment. Understanding the limits of money's influence on happiness can encourage realistic expectations. Winners may hope that their windfall will solve all problems, but recognizing that money is only one piece of the puzzle helps them prepare for the emotional journey ahead. It also underscores the importance of investing in relationships, personal growth, and community. As we transition to the next chapter, we will look at how social comparisons and external perceptions further influence the experience of sudden wealth. The way others view our fortune can impact our own sense of happiness and fulfillment, adding another layer to the story. Savoring simple pleasures, like a shared joke or a warm cup of tea, cultivates happiness that money alone cannot buy. Understanding that happiness is multifaceted encourages a balanced approach to spending and saving. A modest home filled with laughter may bring more joy than a mansion devoid of warmth. Focusing on experiences rather than possessions often fosters deeper contentment. Organizing a family camping trip, taking a cooking class with friends, or spending a day volunteering together builds memories that strengthen relationships. These experiences are shared, rich in emotional texture, and resilient to the fading effects of adaptation. Even small moments, like a walk in the park or a shared meal, contribute to happiness. Wealth can create opportunities for such experiences, but their impact depends on attention and presence. Chapter 10: Social Comparisons, the Ripple Effects of Wealth. Imagine standing at a potluck table laden with dishes prepared by friends. You bring a simple salad, while a neighbor brings an elaborate homemade cake. As you glance at the cake, you might feel proud of your salad or suddenly embarrassed by its simplicity. This moment reflects the human tendency to compare ourselves to others. Social comparison is a natural, often unconscious process, and it shapes how we perceive our own circumstances. When sudden wealth is involved, comparisons can amplify feelings of pride or provoke discomfort and envy in both the winner and those around them. For the winner, comparisons can lead to pressure. They may feel compelled to match or exceed the spending habits of other wealthy individuals. If they see peers buying expensive cars or hosting lavish events, they may feel they should do the same. This can drive spending decisions that are not aligned with their values or long-term goals. It can also create a sense of insecurity if they fear being judged for not displaying wealth in certain ways. Conversely, winners may compare themselves to friends and family who have less. They might feel guilty for having more or worry about being resented. This can lead to awkwardness and a desire to hide their wealth, which contributes to isolation. For those around the winner, social comparisons can trigger envy or disappointment. Neighbors may feel pressure to keep up with the winner's new lifestyle, even if it strains their own finances. A community that once felt cohesive can become fractured as people judge or distance themselves based on perceived differences. This phenomenon of keeping up can have far-reaching effects, potentially leading to financial stress for those who try to emulate the winner. It can also harm relationships if resentment builds. Social media amplifies these dynamics. Photos of lavish vacations, luxury purchases, and charitable donations may be shared widely, inviting comments and judgments. Online platforms make it easy to compare ourselves to a curated version of others' lives. A winner who posts about their new yacht might receive admiration from some and criticism from others. A person who sees such posts may feel inadequate or jealous, even if they were previously content. These reactions are human, but they add complexity to how wealth is experienced and perceived. Understanding social comparison helps winners navigate their relationships and public presence. Recognizing that others may be grappling with their own feelings can foster compassion. Choosing to be discreet about wealth or to share selectively can reduce unnecessary tension. On the other hand, hiding completely may contribute to shame or misunderstandings. Finding a balanced approach that honors personal comfort and community dynamics is key. Engaging in conversations about values and choices can also foster understanding. For example, explaining why you prefer to invest in education rather than buy multiple cars can help others see your priorities. In some communities, a neighbor's windfall can have a ripple effect on others' financial behavior. Studies have shown that when people live near someone who suddenly acquires wealth, they may increase their own spending in an attempt to match or exceed the perceived new standard. This phenomenon, sometimes called keeping up with the Joneses, can lead to increased debt and financial instability among those who can least afford it. A new luxury car parked on the street may prompt others to upgrade their vehicles, even if their budgets do not allow it. The presence of a large home can inspire others to renovate or relocate. These decisions are often driven by pride and a desire not to appear left behind rather than by genuine need or desire. Recognizing this dynamic can help communities address the social pressures that come with inequality. Conversations about financial health, community workshops on budgeting, and support networks can mitigate the urge to overspend in response to someone else's fortune. Cultural differences influence how social comparison manifests. In some cultures, conspicuous consumption is seen as a sign of success and is expected when one has means. In others, modesty and humility are valued, and overt displays of wealth are frowned upon. Winners who move between these cultural contexts may feel confused about how to present themselves. Should they hide their wealth to avoid envy, or display it to fulfill social expectations? Navigating these norms requires sensitivity and personal judgment. The key is aligning outward expressions of wealth with internal values and the well-being of the community. By choosing authenticity over image, winners can reduce the strain of social comparison and foster healthier relationships with their neighbors. The impact of social comparison on happiness is intertwined with the themes we have explored previously: guilt, identity, and community. When external judgments loom large, it is easy to lose sight of personal values. Mindfulness practices, gratitude, and self-reflection can help anchor winners in their own sense of purpose. As we move into the next chapter, we will explore how winners rebuild their identity and purpose in the wake of sudden change. Finding a new normal that honors both the past and the future is a complex but rewarding process. Sharing resources and celebrating each other's milestones strengthens communal bonds. Hosting community potlucks or cleanup days invites neighbors to connect over shared experiences rather than material displays. These gatherings foster camaraderie and reduce the emphasis on individual wealth. Participating in community initiatives that benefit everyone, such as neighborhood beautification projects or shared gardens, shifts the focus from individual status to collective well-being. These efforts foster pride in shared accomplishments rather than competition over personal assets. Practicing humility and gratitude can ease the pressure of social comparisons. Acknowledging one's good fortune without flaunting it, offering genuine praise for others' achievements, and focusing on common goals foster a sense of community. Gratitude shifts the focus from what one lacks or envies to what one appreciates. Humility reminds winners that fortune is often a result of chance as much as effort, and it invites them to listen and learn from those around them. Together, these qualities help create an environment where differences in wealth do not define worth. Chapter 11: Rebuilding Identity and Purpose. Picture a craftsman who has spent decades perfecting his skill at woodworking. His hands carry the memory of each piece of wood he has shaped. One day, he wins a lottery jackpot that could allow him to stop working forever. Initially, he feels relief and excitement. He can take a vacation and buy a new shop with modern tools. However, as days turn into weeks, he notices a restlessness. He misses the smell of sawdust and the sense of accomplishment after finishing a piece. He begins to question what role work played in his life. Was it only a means to pay bills, or was it part of his identity? This question is at the heart of rebuilding identity and purpose after sudden wealth. When a person's financial status changes drastically, it can disrupt the roles and routines that once provided structure. Those who stop working may find themselves with unstructured time. Without the daily rhythm of commuting, tasks, and social interactions, days can feel empty. People who have defined themselves by their profession, parenting role, or community involvement may feel adrift. The challenge is to reconstruct a sense of purpose that aligns with new circumstances. Purpose is not solely tied to employment. It can be found in hobbies, volunteer work, learning, creating, mentoring, and other activities that bring meaning. Some winners discover new passions. They may take classes in art, music, or language. They may travel to places they have always dreamed of visiting, expanding their worldview. Others turn their focus to philanthropic endeavors, supporting causes they care about. By using their resources to make a positive impact, they find fulfillment and connection. Still others choose to continue working, but with greater flexibility. They may start their own small businesses or work part-time, balancing professional engagement with personal interests. Rebuilding identity also involves integrating the past with the present. A person does not become someone completely different because of money, but aspects of their life may change. Maintaining relationships with old friends, continuing cherished traditions, and honoring personal history can provide continuity. Meanwhile, embracing new opportunities can foster growth. The tension between holding on and letting go is delicate. Some winners describe feeling guilty if they continue to work, thinking they should enjoy leisure instead. Others feel guilty if they stop working, thinking they are wasting opportunities. Recognizing that there is no single correct path can alleviate these pressures. Finding purpose often involves experimenting with different roles and activities. A person might volunteer at a local shelter and discover a passion for social work, or they might take up gardening and find peace in nurturing living things. Others may return to school to study subjects they have always been curious about, such as history or astronomy. Learning for the sake of learning can be deeply rewarding and can open doors to new communities and friendships. Another avenue is mentorship, sharing skills and knowledge with others, whether in a formal mentorship program or informally, offers a sense of contribution and continuity. By guiding younger people through their careers or personal challenges, winners can see the impact of their experience beyond their immediate circle. Engaging in creative projects also helps rebuild identity. Many people set aside artistic dreams when life's demands take priority. Sudden wealth can provide the opportunity to revisit these dreams, whether it is painting, writing, or music. These endeavors are not about producing masterpieces for sale, but about expressing oneself and connecting with inner feelings. The process of creating something from nothing can mirror the process of recreating one's life. It fosters patience and perseverance, qualities that are useful in all areas. Community involvement, such as serving on local boards or participating in town meetings, allows winners to contribute to collective well-being. Through service, they ground themselves in something larger than personal gain, aligning their identity with values of empathy and cooperation. Self-reflection is an important tool in this process. Asking questions such as what activities give me energy, what values do I hold dear, and how can my resources support those values, can guide decisions. Journaling, meditation, or conversations with mentors can help clarify thoughts. It may take time for a new sense of purpose to emerge, and that is normal. The journey is iterative. People try activities, adjust their plans, and discover what resonates. Throughout this process, staying connected to community can provide feedback and support. Identity is relational, and purpose often blossoms in interaction with others. This chapter emphasizes that sudden wealth does not automatically provide purpose. Purpose is a personal, evolving answer to the question of what makes life meaningful. The resources that come with wealth can either distract from this question or facilitate the exploration of it. In the next chapter, we will examine more practical aspects of living with wealth by turning to financial planning and literacy. Building a stable foundation is a crucial part of supporting whatever purpose and identity a winner chooses to pursue. Committing to annual traditions like a family service day or an annual reflective retreat provides continuity and meaning as circumstances evolve. Building rituals around giving, learning, and celebrating anchors this evolving identity. Continual learning, whether through books, conversations, or experimentation, keeps the mind engaged and adaptable. Approaching life with a beginner's mindset invites wonder and reduces the fear of making mistakes. This openness to learning can turn unexpected paths into opportunities. Exploring spiritual practices or philosophies can also inform purpose. Whether through meditation, religious study, or philosophical reading, many find that contemplating larger questions about life and meaning helps orient their decisions. These practices provide inner guidance that complements external activities. Travel can be another avenue for growth. Visiting different regions or countries exposes winners to diverse cultures, perspectives, and ways of life. It broadens understanding and can challenge assumptions about happiness and success. Whether exploring remote villages, hiking in nature, or immersing in art scenes, travel invites curiosity and humility. It also provides space away from daily routines, allowing for reflection. Integrating these experiences into one story enriches identity, making it more layered and resilient. Chapter 12: Financial Planning and Literacy. Envision a builder planning to construct a house. Before laying the foundation, they study blueprints, gather materials, and consult with experts. Building a financial future after sudden wealth requires similar planning. The money may be in the account, but without a plan it can crumble like a poorly built structure. Financial planning and literacy are tools that empower winners to protect and grow their resources while aligning their spending with their values. Financial planning involves creating a comprehensive roadmap. This includes assessing current assets and liabilities, setting short-term and long-term goals, and understanding obligations such as taxes. For someone who has never had significant savings, the concept of tax liability on a large sum can be surprising. Ignoring this can lead to unexpected bills that deplete resources. Working with qualified professionals, accountants, tax attorneys, and financial planners helps winners understand the landscape. These professionals can assist in setting up trusts, managing investments, and ensuring that beneficiaries are named properly. It is important to choose advisors who act in the client's best interest rather than those motivated by commissions. Seeking referrals, checking credentials, and understanding fee structures can prevent future conflicts. Learning about basic financial concepts enhances confidence. Understanding how interest works, what diversification means, and how to budget ensures that winners can make informed decisions. Budgeting may sound unnecessary when wealth seems abundant, but it is a tool for aligning spending with priorities. A budget can include allocations for living expenses, savings, investments, charitable giving, and leisure. Knowing where money is going reduces anxiety and prevents overspending. Many winners find it helpful to separate their funds into different accounts, such as an emergency fund, a long-term investment fund, and a day-to-day spending fund. This separation clarifies how much is available for different purposes. Investing is another critical component. Leaving all funds in a low-interest account can cause their value to erode over time due to inflation. Investing in a diversified portfolio such as a mix of stocks, bonds, and real estate can help money grow. The level of risk chosen should reflect the individual's goals, time horizon, and comfort. Some winners choose to invest in businesses or start their own ventures. These choices require thorough research and an understanding of the market. Patience is essential. Quick returns are appealing, but they come with higher risks. Long-term thinking, coupled with professional guidance, often yields more stable outcomes. Estate planning is also part of financial literacy. Thinking about the future includes deciding how wealth will be passed on. Drafting a will, setting up trusts, and designating power of attorney ensure that assets are managed according to the winner's wishes if they become unable to make decisions. These topics may feel uncomfortable, but addressing them early provides peace of mind. Insurance is an often overlooked aspect of financial planning. With new assets come new risks. A larger home needs adequate homeowners insurance, and valuable art or jewelry requires special coverage. Disability and life insurance protect income and loved ones in case of unexpected events. Health insurance remains important, even for those who can afford medical bills, because large expenses can erode wealth quickly. Understanding the types of insurance available and choosing appropriate coverage is part of safeguarding assets. Selecting a team of professionals is another critical decision. Beyond finding a financial planner, winners may need a certified public accountant, an attorney, and an insurance broker. These individuals should be chosen carefully, interviewing multiple candidates, asking for references, and ensuring that their approach aligns with the winner's values helps build a trustworthy team. Regularly reviewing the performance of advisors and remaining engaged in decisions ensures that advice stays relevant. Education should extend to reading books, attending workshops, and using reputable resources to build knowledge. Financial literacy is not a one-time task, but a lifelong skill that evolves with changing circumstances and markets. Another element of financial planning is philanthropy. Many winners want to give back to their community or support causes that matter to them. Creating a charitable giving plan, such as establishing a foundation or donor-advised fund, allows for strategic and tax-efficient contributions. This not only benefits recipients, but also provides the giver with a sense of purpose and connection. Financial literacy is an ongoing learning process. Markets change, laws evolve, and personal circumstances shift. Continuous education, whether through reading, courses, or conversations with experts, keeps winners informed. Engaging in financial decisions rather than delegating everything empowers individuals to understand their own wealth. Even if professionals handle the details, being involved ensures alignment with personal values. As we move to the next chapter, we will explore the emotional side of resilience and support. Financial stability provides a solid base, but emotional resilience and a supportive network are equally essential for thriving after sudden wealth. Even small steps, like setting up automatic transfers to savings and charities, reinforce good habits. Regular family meetings to review the plan keep everyone aligned. Preparing for retirement and setting aside funds for children's or grandchildren's education ensures that resources benefit multiple generations. A clear plan for these milestones reduces uncertainty and aligns wealth with the desire to provide security and opportunity for loved ones. Educating family members about basic financial concepts fosters a culture of responsibility. Teaching children and partners about budgeting, saving, and charitable giving ensures that everyone participates in stewarding the wealth. This shared knowledge strengthens trust and prepares the next generation to handle resources wisely. Building a contingency plan for unexpected events is part of responsible stewardship. Setting aside an emergency fund that covers several years of living expenses provides peace of mind. Considering what would happen if the market declined, if a natural disaster struck, or if personal circumstances changed can inform insurance choices and investment strategies. Revisiting the financial plan regularly ensures that it adapts to new goals, laws, and economic conditions. Budgeting remains a useful tool even when funds are ample. It brings intentionality to spending, clarifies priorities, and reveals patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. Tracking expenses and adjusting as needed keeps the plan aligned with values. Chapter 13: Emotional Resilience and Support. Picture a tree bending in the wind. Its roots are deep and firm, yet its branches sway gracefully. Emotional resilience is like that tree. It allows us to respond to life's storms without breaking. Sudden wealth can feel like a storm, not because it is inherently bad, but because it brings rapid change that tests flexibility and strength. Building resilience involves cultivating inner resources and seeking external support, both of which help navigate the highs and lows. One pillar of resilience is self-awareness. Recognizing one's own emotions and patterns of thought allows for conscious responses rather than impulsive reactions. For winners, this means noticing when excitement is pushing them toward impulsive spending, when guilt is leading to overgiving, or when anxiety is causing paralysis. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or deep breathing, can sharpen this awareness. Journaling about feelings and experiences provides insight and makes abstract emotions concrete. When people understand their triggers, they can create strategies to address them. Another pillar is adaptability. Life after sudden wealth will not be exactly like life before. Expectations from others may change, new responsibilities may emerge, and personal goals may shift. Being adaptable means being open to learning and adjusting. For example, if a winner discovers that a planned investment is not as sound as they thought, they need to be willing to pivot rather than cling to a failing plan out of pride. Adaptability also involves letting go of fixed identities. A person can embrace being both a humble neighbor and a philanthropist, both an employee and a benefactor. This flexibility reduces the stress of trying to fit into a single role. Support from others is essential. Emotional resilience does not mean facing everything alone. Trusted friends, family members, counselors, and peer groups provide perspective and encouragement. Talking through decisions with someone who listens without judgment can lighten the emotional load. Professional support, such as therapists and coaches, offers specialized tools for managing stress, relationships, and identity changes. Support groups for people who have experienced similar wealth transitions can be especially helpful. In these groups, individuals share stories, learn from one another, and realize that their feelings are normal. Self-care is another component of resilience. Healthy habits like regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and sufficient sleep support mental well-being. Engaging in creative or spiritual practices can also ground individuals. Whether it is painting, playing an instrument, gardening, or spending time in nature, activities that nourish the soul help maintain balance. When life feels out of control, these routines provide a sense of stability. Resilience is tested not only by difficulties, but also by success. The excitement of wealth can be destabilizing if not balanced by grounding practices. Celebrating wins and feeling joy is part of life, but staying connected to deeper values prevents the emotional roller coaster from becoming overwhelming. Finding a rhythm between celebration and reflection allows winners to enjoy their fortune without losing themselves. Setting boundaries is a practical aspect of resilience. Winners often face a barrage of requests for money, time, and attention. While generosity is noble, saying yes to every request can lead to burnout and resentment. Learning to say no respectfully protects both the giver and the receiver. A clear boundary might be telling friends that financial decisions will be discussed only during designated times, or that charitable contributions are made through a family foundation rather than personal gifts. Communicating boundaries transparently reduces misunderstandings and helps maintain relationships. Practicing gratitude is another way to strengthen resilience. Keeping a daily journal of things one is thankful for shifts focus from anxiety to appreciation. Gratitude fosters a sense of abundance that is not tied to monetary wealth. This mindset can be shared with family and friends, creating a culture of appreciation. Celebrating non-material joys like a beautiful sunset, a meaningful conversation, or a personal achievement helps anchor identity in more than financial status. Combining gratitude with acts of kindness, such as volunteering or mentoring, reinforces the interconnectedness of the community and the individual. Through these practices, winners cultivate an inner stability that supports them through fluctuations in wealth and life. As we conclude this chapter, we see that emotional resilience and support are not luxuries, they are necessities. Building these qualities and networks equips winners to handle both the opportunities and challenges of sudden wealth. The next chapter will share stories of redemption and wisdom, illustrating how people who faced difficulties after a windfall found their way to stability and meaning. These stories offer hope and practical insight for anyone navigating the complex landscape of money and life. Thus, resilience grows with each mindful choice. Support also involves learning to ask for help when needed and to accept help graciously. Recognizing that no one can carry everything alone fosters humility and connection. Building resilience is a communal act as much as an individual skill. By supporting others, winners reinforce their own networks and contribute to the well-being of their communities. Boundaries extend to personal time as well. Protecting moments of rest and hobbies prevents burnout. Reflection, through meditation or quiet walks, allows emotions to settle and insights to surface. By intentionally carving out space for themselves, winners can maintain balance amid demands. Setting aside time for play, creativity, and rest reminds winners that life is about more than managing assets. Playfulness nourishes the inner child and balances the seriousness that often accompanies financial responsibility. Therapy is not a sign of weakness, it is an investment in well-being. Speaking with a professional about fears, hopes, and relationships provides clarity and coping strategies. Group support can also be powerful. Gathering with others who have experienced sudden wealth creates a sense of belonging. Participants can share tips, cautionary tales, and encouragement. They can laugh at shared oddities and commiserate about shared anxieties. These connections lighten the burden of isolation. Physical health is intertwined with emotional health, so regular checkups, exercise, and nutritious food support resilience. Small rituals, such as morning walks or evening gratitude reflections, anchor the day. Over time, these practices accumulate into a foundation that sustains winners through changes. Chapter 14: Stories of Redemption and Wisdom. Imagine a young couple who won a large sum and quickly fell into the pattern of overspending. They bought a mansion, several cars, and hosted extravagant parties. Within a few years, they realized their funds were dwindling. They felt embarrassed and overwhelmed. Rather than giving up, they sought help. They attended financial education classes at a local community center, hired a trustworthy advisor, and downsized to a more sustainable home. They learned to budget, invest, and plan. Over time, they rebuilt their finances and discovered a newfound appreciation for moderation. They also began volunteering with organizations that teach financial literacy, sharing their experience to help others avoid similar mistakes. Their story shows that redemption is possible when humility and action meet. Another story involves an older man who felt isolated and paranoid after winning a jackpot. He believed everyone wanted his money. He moved to a remote area, cut ties with friends, and spent his days worrying about being robbed. His mental health declined, and he became depressed. Eventually, he reached out to a counselor through a health clinic. Through therapy, he uncovered his fears and slowly reconnected with his community. He began participating in local events, used some of his wealth to support a youth music program, and formed friendships. His anxiety diminished, and he found fulfillment in his role as a patron of the arts. His story illustrates the power of vulnerability and the importance of reaching out for support. Consider the account of a woman who used part of her winnings to establish a scholarship fund for students from her hometown. She involved local teachers in selecting recipients and met each student personally. Over the years, she watched as graduates returned to the community as doctors, teachers, and entrepreneurs. The pride she felt in their achievements deepened her own sense of purpose. Her fortune grew in meaning as it became a vehicle for others' success. Another individual, who struggled with addiction after coming into money, eventually sought treatment and turned his life around. He used his story to advocate for mental health services and funded a counseling center in his city. His candidness broke stigmas and helped others seek help. These examples illustrate that redemption is not only about recovering finances, but also about transforming pain into compassion and service. Even those who manage their finances wisely can encounter unexpected challenges. One man invested his winnings conservatively and lived modestly, yet he faced a serious illness that reshaped his priorities. He realized that time, relationships, and health were more precious than money. With this awareness, he dedicated his resources to research and patient support groups, drawing strength from the community he served. His story underscores that wisdom involves flexibility and a willingness to adapt goals as life unfolds. Whether redemption comes through education, healing, or philanthropy, it reflects the human capacity to learn and to grow through adversity. A third story highlights the journey of a woman who lost her fortune through poor investments and generous gifts. She found herself back in a modest apartment, facing the same financial challenges she thought she had escaped. Instead of succumbing to despair, she viewed her experience as a lesson. She took night classes, earned a degree in social work, and became a counselor for others who experienced sudden wealth. She used her own mistakes to guide others toward healthier choices. Her story reminds us that value is not solely measured in dollars. Wisdom gained through hardship can lead to a meaningful career and a strong sense of purpose. These stories share common threads: mistakes, realizations, and growth. They teach that errors are part of being human and that recovery is possible. They also show the importance of seeking help, whether from professionals, education programs, or supportive communities. Redemption involves acknowledging mistakes without drowning in shame, learning from them, and making different choices. It also involves rediscovering values and aligning actions with them. These narratives continue to grow and to teach. Sharing these stories publicly can inspire others and break the silence around money. Honoring both the struggles and successes in conversations humanizes wealth and demystifies its effects. It encourages a narrative that balances caution with hope and realism with possibility. Accepting that mistakes are part of learning fosters resilience. When people view setbacks as feedback rather than failure, they stay curious and committed to growth. Patience with oneself and others creates room for transformation. Each redemption story underscores the value of humility and curiosity. By asking questions, seeking help, and staying open to learning, individuals transform setbacks into stepping stones. This attitude turns fortune into a catalyst for personal evolution. Reflection becomes a guiding practice for those seeking wisdom. Setting aside time to think about how actions align with values prevents drift. Some winners write letters to their future selves, outlining hopes and lessons they want to remember. Others keep scrapbooks or digital journals of their journey, noting milestones and the emotions associated with them. This reflective habit turns experience into learning. It also honors the winding path from windfall to meaning, acknowledging both missteps and triumphs with gentleness. Wisdom often emerges from reflection. People who have navigated sudden wealth and its challenges frequently emphasize the importance of gratitude, patience, and humility. They advise others to slow down, to avoid rushing into decisions, and to remember what truly matters. They speak of the joy of using wealth to support loved ones and causes, balanced with the responsibility of preserving resources. They caution against letting money define identity or dictate all decisions. These lessons, born from experience, provide a compassionate roadmap for others. As this chapter shows, redemption and wisdom are attainable. They require honesty, effort, and support. They also underscore the idea that mistakes do not define a person's future. In the final chapter, we will synthesize the themes explored in this journey and draw lessons that apply to everyone. Whether or not one experiences sudden wealth, understanding the human story behind money can guide us toward healthier relationships with resources, ourselves, and each other. Chapter 15, Lessons for All, Money as a Human Story. Imagine closing a book after reading a long tale. You sit back, letting the story sink in, thinking about the characters, their choices, and the themes that resonated. This moment of reflection is where we find ourselves now, at the end of a journey through the world of sudden wealth. We have met people on the threshold of fortune, felt their excitement and fear, explored myths and realities, dived into psychological currents, and witnessed paths of excess, guilt, and redemption. What remains is to draw out the threads that weave through these stories, and to see how they apply to all of us, whether we ever hold a winning ticket or not. One clear lesson is that money magnifies who we already are. It does not create values, character, or community. It reveals and amplifies them. Those who are generous become more generous. Those who are impulsive have more room to indulge impulses, and those who are careful can build security. This magnification means that cultivating qualities like gratitude, patience, and self-awareness matters regardless of wealth. If we practice these virtues in daily life, we will be better prepared for any changes that come our way. Money is a tool, and like any tool, its impact depends on the hands that wield it. Another lesson is that planning and education empower us. Understanding how finances work, seeking professional advice, and setting clear goals create a solid foundation. This applies to managing everyday budgets as much as to handling large sums. When we know how to save, invest, and spend with intention, we reduce stress and increase the likelihood of achieving our dreams. Education also helps us avoid scams and predatory traps. It teaches us to ask questions, to be patient, and to verify before acting. These habits protect our resources and our peace of mind. The stories we have explored also remind us that emotional well-being is as important as financial well-being. Isolation, guilt, and identity struggles can surface at any income level. Building resilience, nurturing relationships, and seeking support are key to thriving. Money can provide comfort and opportunities, but it cannot replace human connection or self-worth. By investing time and energy in relationships and inner growth, we create a buffer against the highs and lows of financial change. Emotional and social health are not secondary to financial health, they are intertwined. Finally, the narrative underscores the importance of compassion both toward ourselves and others. Judging lottery winners harshly or resenting them does not account for the complex challenges they face. Similarly, judging ourselves for mistakes or comparing ourselves to others' fortunes adds unnecessary suffering. Compassion invites us to see the human behind the headline, to understand that everyone is navigating a unique journey. By approaching wealthers or others with empathy, we encourage kindness, understanding, and community. Throughout these chapters, a recurring theme is connection. We see that even in discussions of financial planning and decision-making, relationships and values are central. Money intersects with our most personal beliefs and emotions. It influences how we see ourselves and how others see us. It can build bridges or erect walls. When we approach wealth as part of our human story, rather than as a measure of worth, we invite empathy. We recognize that the joy of giving, the warmth of shared experiences, and the comfort of financial security are all part of a larger tapestry of life. The stories we have followed illustrate both caution and possibility. They remind us that fortune can be used to uplift oneself and others, or can be squandered through neglect and fear. The choice lies in awareness and intention. Applying these lessons does not require a lottery ticket. Each of us encounters moments of increase and loss, whether in finances, relationships, or opportunities. How we respond to abundance, to scarcity, to change shapes our character. By cultivating gratitude, seeking knowledge, and nurturing resilience, we prepare ourselves for whatever surprises life brings. By supporting others and asking for help when needed, we strengthen the web of community that holds us. The final reflection is simple. Honor money as a tool. Honor yourself as a person of worth beyond money, and honor others with compassion. In this way, the curse of sudden wealth dissolves into a deeper understanding of the richness of the human journey. As we close this book, we take with us the understanding that money is not just about numbers. It is about human stories filled with hope, fear, choices, and meaning. Whether you ever encounter sudden wealth or not, the lessons here apply to daily life. They remind us to be mindful of our values, to plan wisely, to care for our emotional and relational health, and to treat ourselves and others with compassion. In doing so, we honor the complexity of the human experience and nurture a relationship with money that supports rather than undermines our well-being. This perspective transforms the fear of a curse into a commitment to kindness and wisdom. As each person embodies these values, society as a whole becomes more equitable and compassionate. The ripple effect is profound. By actively integrating these insights into daily choices, we shape a society that values people over possessions and progress over appearances. Each act of mindful spending, each conversation about values, and each moment of empathy contributes to a culture where wealth serves humanity, not the other way around. Embracing these lessons invites us to view money not as a force for isolation, but as an opportunity to build bridges between people, generations, and communities. Looking back at the woman in the kitchen with her winning ticket, we see her not only as a symbol of luck, but as a representative of the many people who face life-changing events. Her journey reminds us that every story unfolds in layers. The lessons gathered here about planning, emotion, relationships, and purpose are threads that anyone can weave into their own life. By doing so, we transform the idea of a curse into an opportunity for growth, connection, and understanding.